Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Bob Mendelsohn, and this is the Bob's Your Uncle podcast. Shalom and welcome to Season 8, Episode 2 of the Bob's Your Uncle podcast. We're listening to Johann Sebastian Bach's Air on a G string. And today we're finishing up the interview with Rob Pryor, a cancer survivor who was healed of cancer here about 14 years ago in Sydney. You'll love the rest of his story. We really got into it last week. Hang in there, there's much more today.
Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology. Don't know much about a science book. Don't know much about the French I took. But I do know that I love you. And I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
Today in history, the 14th of January, in 1526, Charles V and Francis I signed the Treaty of Madrid, forcing Francis to renounce his claims to Burgundy, Italy, and Flanders. In 1601, church authorities in Rome burned Hebrew books. In 1690, the musical instrument the clarinet was invented in Nuremberg, Germany. In 1699, Massachusetts held a day of fasting for wrongly persecuted witches. In 1897, Cerro Aconcagua mountain in Argentina, 6,900 plus meters, was first climbed by a European expedition led by a British mountaineer. In 1898, the Australian cricketer Joe Darling hits the first six in Test cricket. In 1939, Norway claimed Queen Maud Land in Antarctica. In 1960, the Reserve Bank of Australia was established. And in 1989, 1,000 Muslims burned Salman Rushdie's Satanic Verses in Bradford, England. And that's the historical marker of the week.
I do know that I love you. And I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
You share in your website about the book and the 5-week course that you run, that you were healed. And now we're back with Rob Pryor in this continuing conversation. He ended last week talking about or teasing us with this notion of terrain theory and introduced us to two eminent European thinkers and scientists, and that's where he's going to kick off today's story. This is enjoy this. Buckle your seatbelt.
In the mid-1800s, there were two notable French microbiologists who were looking for what they believed could be the fundamental underlying cause of all disease, not just cancer, but of all disease, which is a pretty lofty ambition. It's pretty amazing that they should even embark upon such a thing because it seems unfathomable. But those two people were Louis Pasteur and a scientist called Antoine Béchamp. Now, of course, Pasteur is a household name. Everyone's heard of Pasteur and pasteurization, and he's a legendary figure. But in my estimation, he got it wrong, and I believe Béchamp got it right. Now, what was Pasteur's theory? He believed that germs were the cause of all diseases. And by that stage in history, they had microscopes. So they could see germs under a microscope. And in a sense, he was correct that germs cause havoc in the body and even life-threatening illness like what I had. Meanwhile, Béchamp said he believed, when I say said, in his published scientific papers, he published his conclusion that yes, germs are real, but they are not the fundamental cause of disease.
Hmm.
He believed the fundamental cause was our inner terrain. Now, what does terrain mean? Well, he believed it, he just referred to it as being the terrain of our body, which has a lot to do with gut health, but also the quality of your blood and your internal organs, but the state of your physical body. And by the way, Hippocrates, the ancient Greek philosopher, had, and he's referred to as the father of medicine. 2,500 years ago, proclaimed that all illness begins in the gut. Now, that's terrain theory, saying it begins in your gut. And the corollary to that is, if you fix your gut health, then you will most likely fix all manner of illnesses, not just cancer, but you can reverse diabetes, you can fix leaky gut, Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, lupus, shingles. The list goes on and on and on of the diseases that we can cure ourselves if we remedy our gut health. Might I say, I think my gut health was atrocious back then. These days, I believe it is exceptional. And I'm not bragging, it's the result of the things that I did to create good gut health.
Well, that's it.
Keep off all the bad crap and really adopt organic food. Keep off all the sprayed foods. Do not eat food that's been sprayed with pesticides because it's poison, and you're probably going to pay some sort of price for it, either in the short term or long term. Keep off the processed foods. Keep off alcohol. There's a long list. My book actually details it. There's one whole chapter dedicated to foods to avoid. There's another chapter of healing foods. There's another chapter of healing protocols. So, it was a steep learning curve. There's a lot to learn. It is my belief that God designed our bodies to heal themselves. We all acknowledge that if you get a cold or a flu, you might be under the weather for a period of time, but you drink lots of fluids and lemon, garlic, ginger, all this sort of thing, and your body will recover. Most people won't die from a flu. So we know our bodies heal themselves in that respect, but it's generally believed that the human body cannot, in most circumstances, heal itself for something as dreadful as cancer. I strongly disagree with that. I believe it can. Now, people might say, you were lucky, or it might have been a misdiagnosis. No, I don't believe I was lucky. Fortunate, yes. Blessed, yet to meet the right people. And that's another reason I felt the need to write the book. The people I met, Michael Adamides, Dr. Chris was quite good. Pete Melov, who's the owner of an organic produce store, now based in Mascot, Sydney, was brilliant, mind-blowingly good in getting me onto the right diet, but also he helped with mindset. Michael, I did 6 hours of psychotherapy with him to clear the emotional traumas which had contributed to my onset of cancer. And I've conveyed what I learned from these people in my book to make it accessible to the world.
Where do people get this book? Is it Kindle,
The only place
Amazon?
No, the only place it's available is on my website,
Which is
my name, robprior.net. So it's ROBPRIOR.net.
And what about the 5-week course?
And so I spent about 18 months writing the program with the help of a very brilliant naturopath by the name of Marco Felicetti, who's obviously of Italian origin, but Australian born, now living in Bali, Indonesia, of all places, but he's available for online consultations. But he was wonderful I could relate my experience and my knowledge, but he would help me to make sure that I got my facts straight.
That's important. I mean, anybody and everybody with the democratization of information can say, here's what I used, this is what worked for me, and you're going to have a following. But that doesn't mean it's a good following. It doesn't mean it's a good thing to follow. But you've got some kosher people around you, that doesn't mean Jewish, who have really knocked it around and cleaned it up. And that's fantastic. I'm really challenged by it, and hope that the people who are listening, this is going to be, by the way, 2 podcasts, because there's no way I can trim you down to 11 minutes. That's just not fair.
It's a very, very deep and wide area of study and knowledge that I believe we have been lied to about cancer and cancer healing pretty much on every level. For instance, even what we're told cancer is, I don't agree with. I've got a radically different perspective of what it actually is. I've got a radically different perspective on how we get cancer, how to prevent it, and how to cure it is really at the polar opposite to what modern medicine is putting forward.
Let me ask a couple other things. If you could redo one moment in your life, one mistake, one misstep, what would you change?
I've got two answers to that is, number one, I have no regrets because regret is futile. I learnt that from an American author called Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer. Regret is futile. At the time, we do things, and if they don't work out, you can easily beat yourself up and say, damn, I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have done that. Look at the disaster it created. But really, at the point of doing something, making a particular decision, you're making the best decision with the knowledge you had at that point in time. So I've got no regrets. And really, I mean, the first answer is I wouldn't change anything. The second answer is, okay, let's enter your hypothetical world. What would I change? Well, for a start, I'd look after myself better, that I wouldn't have consumed all that alcohol. I wouldn't have eaten all that junk food and all that sugar and poisoned myself. I wouldn't have gained all that weight through lack of exercise. I mean, there's so much. I would have taken up meditation earlier in my life because it's one of the most wonderful things I've ever discovered. And by the way, that truly enters the spiritual dimension because my meditation goes very deep into a trance-like state where I believe I do access some great, powerful, universal healing force and guiding force, something that you could call it God, if you like. If that's your language, let's call it God. There's something huge, something where I'm able to transcend my ego because ego is just such a limiting thing. Me, and limiting rigid beliefs, limiting beliefs. I am right, you are wrong. I mean, that's just a terrible way to think and to live. And it just causes arguments and stress and misery. So, I would have taken up, I took up meditation in my, mid-30s. Given my time again, I would have taken up my teenage years. But, would have, could have, should have. When you're a teenager, that's the last thing you want to do.
What gets you up in the morning? That is, what is your purpose for living the next year on planet Earth?
I love every aspect of my life. I've cleared through my near-death experience. I had a lot of psychotherapy and a lot of meditation and cleared a lot of the emotional cobwebs, I guess you could call them, emotional blocks, emotional baggage. So I just wake up happy. And if it's a sunny day, I love that. If it's raining, I love rain. If it's windy, wind is cool. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But specifically, I love helping people to recover from cancer. It's such a joy to see that they're dreadfully ill. And then by changing their diet and their lifestyle and their mindset and more, week by week, they can feel that they're getting better. But I still tutor mathematics, 15 hours a week. And I love that because you need balance. You need different things. Your life can't be one-dimensional. That adds a second dimension to my life. And then there's a third dimension of music that I'm still composing and recording original music with a very brilliant Australian musician named Glenn Bidney. He's a fantastic singer, great guitar player, songwriter, engineer, producer. But, I do much of that as well. So we're a great team. We've written 135 songs together. And some of the more recent songs have been, I'm always pushing the envelope, trying to find more exciting things to do to, even at my age, which is almost 70, I'm 68 years old, to try and do new things. You never stop learning and growing.
That's
Spread
it.
of truth.
Hey, what would be the title of your memoir?
Oh, wow. You come up with some doozies, Bob. Let's see. I don't know. You're putting me on the spot.
Okay.
I came, I saw, I healed. Did you catch that?
Veni, vidi, very good. Is there anything else you'd want to ask or fix or tell the worldwide Bob's Your Uncle listening audience?
It's so important to be flexible in one's thinking. Really, really critically important because if you cling on to believe that what you've been taught at school and what the media and politicians put forward, you're really a slave to the system, let's say. if you're willing to be flexible and to think, maybe everything I've been told and taught is not right, just maybe, to sit on the fence. Maybe we're being lied to. Maybe there's a deeper truth that's been suppressed, that's been hidden from us. You know, I need to be willing to consider alternative perspective.
Well, that's the end of the interview. We did have final farewells, which you'll hear in a moment. We recorded this in December, just a few weeks back, and wished each other happy Advent and Christmas and New Year and all those things as Aussies do during the silly season. I hope that you'll connect with Rob Pryor and share what you think and listen to what he thinks. That's how the world keeps going in a good direction. Thanks so much, Rob Pryor. Thanks for sharing your story, and may the Lord himself help you enjoy life today through what some here call the silly season. Have a great Christmas with mates and family. I love that you and your sister will talk. And may 2026 be full of adventure and hope for you and for many.
God bless you, Bob. You're a beautiful human being.
Appreciate it. All the best to you, Rob. What do you think about all this? Why don't you write to me, Bob Mendo at AOL.com, or comment right where you're listening to the podcast. Every week we read from the #1 bestseller of all time. That's the Bible. Today's no different. In John chapter 10, Yeshua said, I am come that you might have life and have that more abundantly. Hey, let me let you know about the website called therealbobm.com. That's my new website, and you can go to it anytime and get the latest Instagram or Facebook, my blog. Everything is all on there. There won't be anything that I write about, communicate about, that you can't find there. It's all searchable. Things about Israel, things about Jewish people, my reflections after the Bondi Massacre, on and on. So even Flickr, even all my photos, historical photos, you'll find it all there, therealbobm.com. And feel free to comment on any of those platforms or right here where you're listening to the podcast. I'm available to you. And when things seem bleak or uncertain, look up to God. He's in his heaven, and Bob's your uncle. Shalom from Sydney.